everyone, today I'm here to do the time and place book tag, which is 10 particular books out, and you talk about where you're at in your life and you read it, your collected memories from it, and that's pretty much all you do. And I don't think I could pick 10. I picked the most I can, but I thought it'd still be cool to do because it's amazing how books have this tie to memories. You know, with these certain books, sometimes you can remember exactly where you found it, exactly how your life was going when you were reading it, and stuff like that. You just have such a strong bond with said book. And I really find that amazing with books that you could do that. You could do that with really anything, different objects in your life, stuff like that. I really love that you can tie them together. I will leave the creator's link down below if you definitely want to check it out. And if you want to film it, do it, because I think it's really cool to have these type of videos where you can, you know, say this certain book reminded you of this certain time in your life, and it's just awesome. The first book I'm going to begin with, as I'm sure a lot of people are, just because it's the strongest memory I have of books, and that's of course going to be Harry Potter. This is the illustrated one. I'm going to tell you about my story with Harry Potter a little bit. I read Harry Potter. I believe it's really foggy for me because number one, I have a horrible memory. Number two, I was relatively young. I think I was reading it. I think I started reading Harry Potter as he was growing up. Now, I know like the first three, I know for sure the first three books when I first started reading Harry Potter were already out. So I didn't read it as soon as it came out. I guess I'm not an original gangster with that. I like to think I am though. But I did start reading it when I was around 11 or 12. And I remember that because I was either in 6th or 7th grade. And those were the ages I was in 6th or 7th grade. Me and my brother were with my dad for the weekend, and we went to the library, as we do a lot, because that's just what we do. We live right by a library. And I picked up Harry Potter because I've been hearing a lot of stuff about it. I didn't know too much about books and all that, but I decided to read it. And I remember going back to my dad's. I sat in this recliner, and I put a blanket over me, and I started reading it, and it was boring to me at first. I was like, this is really not that great of a book. And I fell asleep while reading it. I remember that very vividly. And I woke up and I was like, oh, I fell asleep. And then I started reading it. And then immediately then I got immersed. I could not put the book down. I got obsessed. And I don't know, I guess it's just the beginning of Harry Potter, maybe kind of boring. Maybe it was to me, my 11-year-old brain, but I just very vividly remember that memory. I also have a very strong memory of reading the last part of The Prisoner of Azkaban when everything was happening, which is my favorite book, by the way. Everything was happening. I was sitting at home and I was like, I just remember my stomach going like up and down, up and down, up and down, like a roller coaster almost. I was so anxious and so nervous about what was going on in the book. I have such strong memories attached to Harry Potter because they were my childhood. I grew up, where my love of reading comes from is Harry Potter, as a lot of people will say, and that's just because it was such a magical series. It made me fall in love with reading. It made me the person I am today because of Harry Potter. As cliche as that sounds, it is 100% true. So, Harry Potter, thank you for all the nice memories. I will cherish Harry Potter forever, and I will try to force my children to read it because it's so good. If you haven't read Harry Potter, if you're scared you might not like it, just try it. Even if you don't like it, that's okay. Just try it because they're so magical. They're so amazing. The characters, you will think of them as your best friends, I promise you. Anyway, moving on to different books that I have a very strong memory with. This one's probably a little bit younger. I've talked about it before, and that's Friendo by, I forget the author. I don't own it. The memory I have attached with this book is I found it randomly at a book fair. And I don't know why I remember it. I have no clue, but I remember very vividly buying it at a book fair, being excited about it, and loving the mess out of this book. I just ate this book up. It's about a boy that finds a pen and just decides to call it Friendo. It's determined. He is determined to get that word in the dictionary, and he succeeds in the end. It's a great young book if you're looking for a book for a younger kid. It's amazing with that. I just have strong memories of that. Also with that, another book I kind of read in the very early stages of middle school is Enchanted by Gail something, I forget. This is a very, if you've heard about the movie, you've seen it, it's nothing like the movie. I refuse to watch the movie, okay? It's nothing like the movie. The movie's all spunky and happy. The book's really not. It's about this girl named Ella who has this curse on her when she's young, and so she always has to do what someone else says. That's what her curse is. She always has to do what somebody else says, and that leads to a lot of hard roads in her life. She is young when the book starts out, and she just has so many dilemmas, so many horrible things happen to her. I just remember reading this book and falling in love with it so much. I think I read it at least 10 times. And it was a library copy, so I never even owned it. I just checked it out from the library repeatedly and repeatedly, which also was awesome because I worked in the library, volunteered in middle school. I was that geek, okay? I worked in the library. Yeah, I did. I don't care. I remember when Harry Potter, the movie, came out. This is kind of random, but I remember when they were on the Rosie O'Donnell show, and me and my friend that worked in the library watched the mess out of it, where we were like, oh my gosh, Harry Potter! Yeah, I don't know. I was in the library geek, but you know what? Whatever. It's awesome. But I remember just checking out over and over again. I just obsessed with it. Moving on later down the road. In high school, I didn't read too much. I read when I could. I didn't really know a lot about books. And then this bad boy came out. You've probably already seen my Twilight video where I talk a little bit about it, but my story with Twilight is I found it in one of those mall type of bookstores like Walden Books or B. Dalton, and I was just perusing the YA section, which wasn't really popular, and I saw this cover and I was like, that's an interesting cover, a girl holding an apple, and I read the back and I realized that it's about a vampire that falls in love with a human girl, and I was like, Buffy! And I've loved Buffy for a while when I found this book, so I immediately bought it because I love vampires, Angel of course, and I fell in love with this book. I read the mess out of it. This is my original copy. You can see how much it's been read, and the spine is just, yeah, I love that. I always keep my original copies of my favorite books because they just show the memories. I love this book. This book gets a lot of hate. I get it. It's not insanely well written. The storylines are not super amazing, but it's always going to have that special place in my heart, and it's going to make me feel nostalgic every single time I look at it because I did really love the saga. Not the last book. Hated that book. But overall, I love the saga. It was so good. It just made me think of everything. And when this movie came out, it was literally... It came out 2 months after I got married, and I drug my husband. I'm like, you married me, we're gonna have to go see Twilight together. Sorry, husband. But this has such a strong memory of it. I read this, I think, when I was around 18, and I'm 26 now, so I read it a long time ago. But I read this when this first came out, before it was crazy popular, and I'm really excited I did because I can say that. Okay, another book that's kind of a little bit early high school, I think I read this when I was in high school, is The Sisterhood of Traveling Pants by Anne Broadchart. I love the series. I talk about it constantly. It's because it's so good. The covers are even the new covers are kind of It doesn't really portray the amazingness of this book. This is a contemporary series about these 4 best friends who try on the same pair of jeans, and they fit them all magically, and they're both very different type of sets of women, and it's just this is such a good series. It's about friendship, it's about growing up and being friends, and it's just really, really adorable, and I loved it so much. I read this all through high school, and I just love this series. I don't have super strong memories of reading this, but I remember I read this when I was in high school, and I just loved it so much. Another author I found high school, that's where my memories are the best, if you can see, is Sarah Dessen. I went into the world of Sarah Dessen through my best friend, and it was kind of through her. It was this random person that was in my life, really, and she was talking about Sarah Dessen and how much she loved her, and I was like, I guess I should try her out. And so I bought a book. I fell in love with Sarah Dessen, and that was that. You know, this person just introduced me to Sarah Dessen, and I got immersed in Sarah Dessen, and she's become my favorite contemporary author since then. So thank you, random person I can't even think of their name of, because you introduced me to one of my favorite authors ever. And that's weird how books come into your life that you weren't expecting by some random person you barely know. So, hey, that's great. So I have one last book. I know it's not 10, but whatever. And that's going to be The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. And I read this when I'm not an original person with Hunger Games. I waited a while to read it. I had known about it since it came out. I got a lot of hype. I'm still hesitant to read it because it kind of sounded odd. And then I just picked it up and I fell in love with it. I have very strong memories of this because I remember finishing, staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning, which I rarely do because I'm an old lady, and having to finish reading it and it scaring me. It wasn't a scary book, it just gives you so much anxious feelings that you just have to finish it and you have to know what happens, and it just makes you feel like blah, 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 craziness, okay? And love The Hunger Games. It really reminds me also of my very beginning time, I think, of BookTube. This and Divergent really have a strong hold on me for the beginning of BookTube, because a little bit after I read them, I decided to go into BookTube, and that just will always have a great memory with me. So those are all the books I talked about. I think it was like 7. I hope that was okay. But I know there's plenty more books that I have strong memories with, I think. I just literally cannot remember them. Isn't that ironic? If you guys want to film this tag, please let me know. Leave the link down below for your tag, because I would love to see what books have memories over you, or you have very strong memories with, because books are so important with that. They will bring you back to places and make you remember things that are just so awesome and so amazing. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Be sure to subscribe and hit that thumbs up button, and I will talk to you later.